For a while now, I've been thinking about Narancia and how his destiny unraveled in Golden Wind. If I'm being straightforward, it's been weeks since I finished the anime, and I'm still thinking about him. And for the longest time, I didn't know why. I explained in my past video how much Narancia meant to me, and I'd like to take a brief moment to self-plug myself real quick. I know, please forgive me. I'll leave a link to that video that I mentioned before in the description below, and it would mean the world to me if you subscribed. About 80% of my viewers are unsubscribed to the channel, and it would really help me create more content like this if you choose to do so. Before I continue on with the video, however, I want to mention that there will be major spoilers, so watch at your discretion. But putting that aside, Narancia's existence, his backstory, and all that he is, never really stood out to me until it was too late. And that's when I got to thinking, why is it that Narancia impacted me like he did, and why had I never seen it before? There's not really a way that I can put it all into words, or maybe not a direct way to express it short and to the point. Narancia, being that he is older than both Fugo and Giorno, somehow seems younger and more innocent than them. He isn't as guarded emotionally, and admittedly, he isn't as smart as Fugo or Bruno would like him to be. He, like Mista, wears his emotions on his sleeve, but somehow he's entirely different, almost on a different level of naivety, I guess you can say. Let's start from the beginning. Narancia never felt as though he belonged. Once the only person he cared about in his life, his mother, died from an eye disease, he was left all alone. His father never really cared about him, and he was left to fend for himself, left to look for the love, the sense of belonging he had lost with his mother. Naturally, he tried to seek out a group of people who he cared for and who cared for him. But those people turned out to neglect him too. Narancia had spent all his time protecting these people, helping them survive, but in the end he ended up alone just like before. Once he was wrongly accused, he got beat and in turn received a nasty disease in his eye, similar to what his mother had before her untimely death. His friends saw this and excluded him from everything he was a part of before because, oh look, Narancia has an eye infection. Don't get close to him or you'll die just like his mother did. The time after that was rough, and Narancia had given up on life. He had given up on the sense of belonging he desired so dearly. When Bruno took him in, Narancia found a home he never had before. Sure, Bruno practically forced him to go back to school. He knows the gangster life is not suitable for most people, but Narancia passed Popol's test and joined Passion nonetheless. Bruno, Fugo, Mista, Abacchio, and even Giorno, who he had not known for long, fulfilled that part of him he had missing for so long. They gave him a home, a safe place where he was allowed to be himself without fearing he'd be abandoned. He had found his group of misfits that cared for him, a makeshift family, I'd like to argue. And it is here that Narancia is truly happy. Every person in Bruno's group has problems of their own, but by finding solace in one another, they are able to move forward with convictions stronger than even the boss of Passion himself. And maybe it's this fact that makes Fugo's decision to leave Passion all the more real. Fugo to Narancia was someone incredibly important, and leaving him was something he couldn't comprehend. But he couldn't leave Bruno after everything he's given him. Even more importantly, he couldn't leave Trish in her time of need. Narancia knows instinctively, just like Fugo knew when he left, that he'd be in danger if he betrayed the organization with the rest of the group. The reason why he decided to move past this fact, to leave Fugo once and for all, was because he saw himself in Trish. Trish, like Narancia, had no one in her life left who cared about her. I mean, sure you can argue that Pericolo spared some compassion towards her while she was in his care, but it's not the same. The one person in her life that supposedly loved her betrayed her in the end, just like how the only people he knew in his life betrayed him in the end as well. You know, besides from Bruno and the crew. Trish was a reflective mirror of how Narancia lived before Bruno had taken him in, and as he watched from the dock as her wrist bled from being severed, he couldn't leave her alone. she wouldn't suffer the same fate he feared, and he was even willing to risk death to give her the protection Bruno had once given him when he was all alone. Trish and Narancia are the same. It's with this that his death hits as hard as it does. For one, I do have to mention that it came out of nowhere and I completely wasn't expecting it, although looking back, I probably should have known when he started reminiscing on his future, but as he does this, it makes his death just that more heartbreaking. Narancia was so young, only 17 at the time, and his life was taken from him so quickly, his future wiped in the blink of an eye. He had so much potential to grow and experience everything life had to offer. He was going to go back to school, strengthen his bond with Fugo, and even eat all the margarita pizza he wanted. But it wasn't so. He had all of it taken away from him by a man who valued power more than human life. I think the reason I'm as upset as I am about his death is because of the fact that someone so innocent and pure, I guess you can say, had something cruel happen to him. It's almost always the people who mean the best who are killed. Narancia's death felt as if the world was killing off the only innocents left, and what's worse, he wasn't even able to contribute anything to help the team defeat Diavolo in the end. It's because of this that I'm so unsettled over his death. It shook me to my core. Even though Narancia's death hurt as much as it did, there's some beauty behind his passing. Narancia did the right thing, and no matter how you look at it, that's all we can ask for. From the day Bruno betrayed the organization, he knew he was probably going to die, but he couldn't leave Trish alone. He wanted to give Trish the home he found in Passion, and he was willing to do whatever it took to be able to do so. This was his resolve. I think a lot of people, at least myself, get so caught up in the small circle of our perception. It seems like we're suffering, and maybe at the moment we are, but it always gets better eventually. Life may be cruel now, or maybe it has been cruel to you in the past, but there will always be a place to call home somewhere down the line. The people you love are out there, and we all just have to trust that our lives are following the path it's meant to take. We have to keep fighting for a better tomorrow, no matter how difficult it may seem. The sun always rises after a long, cold night, and at the end, there will be golden wind. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've already made a ton of content based off of the JoJo franchise, but I couldn't help but deep dive into the meaning behind one of my favorite characters throughout the entire story. Who knows, maybe I might make more JoJo content in the future. In fact, I'm pretty sure that will eventually be the case. I find it funny how some of my friends joke about me becoming a JoJo tuber, but I honestly wouldn't mind. JoJo's has a lot of meaning, more so than a lot of people originally find, and it would be a pleasure to make more videos on it. Of course, I'm not going to limit myself, but who knows what the future holds. Anyways, make sure to subscribe if you want more content like this, and tell me what you thought of the video in the comments below. All opinions are very appreciated. But yeah, this has been Kitsune Katie, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!